Hi, it's Mrs. Duran. Today we're going to work on continuing to develop our use of the elements of art to fill the space of our paper. And we want to remember that we want to fill the entire space. So none of the paper looks like it's been neglected. Now you can decide if you want your paper in landscape position or portrait position. It's up to you. And remember the size of the paper, just whatever you have to work with, what you're going to draw with, is your choice. And also remember that at any time, if you need to pause the video, and come back to the video when you're ready to continue your drawing. All right. So here we go. We're going to draw a picture of a chameleon today. All right, and we're going to be just using some simple shapes and lines to design this chameleon. The first thing I'm going to do is on my paper, I am going to draw a straight line and write what looks like the letter D. Okay, and don't worry if it's not totally perfect. All right, there's my D. This D is going to be the face of my chameleon, and we're going to be looking at the profile, the side view of the chameleon. So we're only going to be able to see one eye. I'll put the dot here. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little extra detail by drawing another curved line around, putting a second circle to give a little more detail to the eye. And then, depending on what line you want to use, we're going to add a line for the mouth. Okay, so right now I can't tell what this is supposed to be. It could be the head of a snake or anything just about. So we need to continue adding more detail and filling the space with the body of the chameleon. So I'm going to come up here to the top of this uppercase letter D, and I'm going to draw a curved line around, bring it all the way around. I want to bring it as far over to the left side of the paper as I can so that I'm filling up my space. And then this line, I'm going to continue. I'm going to bring it around into a spiral, and I'm going to just let the spiral continue going until it ends and runs into itself. All right. And this is going to make the body and the tail of the chameleon. Now, the chameleon, how many legs does it have? Right? The chameleon has 4 legs, and there's 2 on each side. So on this side of the chameleon, I'm only going to be able to see 2 legs. So I'm going to start up here in the body because the leg would be up here. And then its claw, I'm going to put zigzag lines. And I'm going to put about 4. I think that's right. But if I do more or less, nobody's going to know because one of the claws could be turned in another direction and we just don't see it. All right, and this, I'm going to bring this up. That's one leg. I need another one. And I'm going to come here and bring this one down. Same thing, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oops, I ran into something. I'm going to stop. I'll just let the leg go behind so it looks like the tail is overlapping. And let's see, I'm going to bring this up, come around, and there's the other leg. And I'll make another curved line for this leg. And I'm going to be using pretty much all curved lines. My letter D, I used a straight line, but I could have used a curved line. I could have made a D with a curve instead of straight line, but I didn't, so it's going to stay just like that. All right, now the chameleon, I want the chameleon to be on a branch, but before I do that, I need to finish the belly. So I have the 2 legs. I'm going to come over here, the bottom of the D, and I'm going to continue with the line, but I'm going to do excuse me line this time. When I run into something, I say silently in my head, excuse me, jump over, and bring that over and stop, or excuse me, whatever I need to do. All right. And so now I have the body of the chameleon, the head, and 2 of the legs. So there are 2 more legs, and they're on the opposite side of the body. And if my chameleon is holding on to part of a tree, which is what I'm going to put it on, I might be able to see the other 2 legs, but I'm not going to see as much of them because they're on the other side of the body. So over here at the tummy, I'm going to come in with another foot, and I ran into the other leg and foot, so I'm going to stop right there. And then I'll put the second one here, and again, it's going to stop right there. So I want the chameleon to be on a tree branch, and to make him actually look like he is really on the tree branch, I am going to use my excuse me line. I'm going to start on the left, and whatever I do, I don't want to use a straight line, because tree branches, even though sometimes we think of them being a straight branch, they aren't straight. So I'm going to go from the tail, I'm going to go, excuse me, I want all 4 legs to be on the branch. So from the left to the middle, excuse me, I'm going to jump over these 2 legs, and then again, bring that off to the side. Now, I was moving my paper and it kind of slipped, but I think that's a pretty cool mistake, because it's going to make the branch look like it's splitting. So let's see what's next. So using this split, I'm going to come over here and make a smaller branch. And then I'm going to bring this out and bring it down. And I'm just going to let that go off the page. Remember, we call that a bleed. When a line goes off the page, out of view, it's a bleed. And let's see, then I'm going to bring this, and I'm going to come over, making my branch thicker. And then I need to finish it to the other side. So since I ran into the tail, I need to go, excuse me, and there's my branch. Now, somewhere over here on the left is the rest of the tree, but it's not in the picture, so we don't need to worry about it. All right, so I have the eye, the mouth, the legs, the body, the tail. I have a branch for it to stand on. Now I'm going to go in and add some more detail. Now, starting up here at the top, I'm going to come with a curve, kind of zigzaggedy line. And I'm going to add some more of these going down the back of the chameleon. I'm going to turn my paper so you can see it a little better. And I'm just going to let these get smaller and kind of blend into the back. And don't worry if they're not all the same. That'll make it look more realistic. Now I can go in here to this space and add some other lines for details to help create texture. And don't worry if something ends up in a where you didn't want it. You can just stay like right here. I'll add more to my chameleon to make that disappear and not look like a mistake. So my chameleon, if you've looked at pictures of chameleons, they're different colors depending on what their setting is, where their environment is located. And they have different patterns, so I'm going to come in with some other lines and add some pattern to my chameleon. And I want to keep these lines curved because a chameleon is part of nature and its body is curved, it's not flat. So I want to use all curved lines. Oh, well, see that little line I had there? I'm just going to use that for my next one. And then no one's going to know any different. So I'm going to continue this pattern down the tail, the spiral of the tail. All the way. And remember, you don't have to use the same lines that I'm using. You could be going in and adding any kind of details you want. So I have my chameleon, I have the legs, I have the branch. Now, looking at the branch, I want to add some form to it. I want it to look three-dimensional. I want it to look like it's round, like a branch. So here on the sides, I'm going to come from the edge and just put in these curved lines. These curved lines are going to help make the branch look like it's round. All right, I'm going to add some on the other side, and I can put as many as I want. I can add some other lines for texture to show where maybe a branch is missing, that another animal ate, or it broke off with somebody climbing on it. Add these little knot holes and more curve lines so that we can see the form of the branches so that they look more like cylinders than rivers. Okay. And that looks pretty good. Now I still have all this other space. If you drew yours really small and you have room to draw more iguanas or another animal, that's completely up to you. Looking at my iguana, I have these spaces in between, and I want to make them look a little different than the stripes. So when I go to add my color, I can easily tell what I'm doing. All right, now here looks like I don't know what I'm doing. I need to add another line. Okay, so there's my chameleon. Now what the tree is missing is some greenery. So I am just going to add some wavy lines to be the little twig part of the branches. I'm going to add some leaves, and I don't have to worry about my leaves all being exactly the same, going the same position. I ran into my branch, so I'm going to go, excuse me. And that'll make them look more realistic, because when we look at a tree, we don't usually see the every leaf in its entirety completely, because it's twisting or turning or blowing in the wind. And remember, if you make a mistake, no big deal, because it could easily be hidden in the background. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm creating some background behind my chameleon, and so that I know it's going behind, I want to make some of these leaves go actually behind my chameleon. And I can put as much of this in as I want. Like I said before, you can make it look very lush, like a jungle, or you can put it in a different setting. Maybe there's a setting, an environment that you've been studying with your teacher, and you want to put the chameleon in that setting. You could do that. I want to make another branch over here, because I was starting to make another twig with leaves, but I was talking too much and I made it too thick. So I'm just going to make this another branch. I'm going to put some curved lines so that we can tell that this, again, has form. And we could put some little knot holes here and there. I might want to put some more over on this side. And I'm going to go here. Since that one, I just kind of blew right over it, but this twig was on top, so I'm going to go like that. Bring that in. Okay, so I pretty much filled all my space. I think it needs more leaves, and I can keep going back and adding those in. Now, I worked on a drawing the other day of a chameleon, and I want to share that with you. And this one I had more space on my paper. My chameleon didn't take up, my main chameleon didn't take up as much space. So I had more room. I added a smaller chameleon above. I also incorporated some wavy lines to create vines and colored in all the space and created pattern to make my piece complete. Now, what medium I used, I just used my regular box of crayons. And if you use your crayons and mix the colors together, you will be able to achieve your crayons looking like pastels, like I think mine do. It's just a matter of not coloring your parts, your shapes in solidly with one color. It's about combining colors together. And I'll show you a little bit on the sample that we drew together. All right, so let me bring that back. And here's my chameleon. And I'm going to start with the branch. Now, usually when we think of trees, we think of trees as brown, wood being brown. And I'm going to add some brown here and there. I'm going to turn it so it's a little easier for me. And I do want to stay between my lines, but as you notice, I'm not coloring everything. And right now, it actually might look a little scribbly scrabbly, but it won't stay that way. I'm going to come in with purple. I like to use purple on my tree branches because it makes it look like shadows. And if you ever look really closely at trees, look at the trees in your neighborhood, and looking at the texture of the trees, you're going to notice what might look like purple to you. I always see purple in the tree trunks when I look closely at them and the pattern of their texture. So I'm going to come in with a little bit of purple. And I like to use as many colors as I feel like using. A lot of times I might use 5 colors to make my shape completely colored in. I'm going to come in here with a lighter color to help create some contrast so that everything doesn't look the same color on the branch, so it looks like the light might be hitting in other places. All right. And there's my tree branch. I could keep going and adding more colors. And I want you to experiment and see what colors can you add together to color in your tree branch, as well as your chameleon. I'm going to add a little bit of this. What is this? This is green yellow. I'm going to add a little green yellow. And when I color that over the purple, it creates a nice hue of brown when the two are mixed. All right, I'm just going to keep coloring that in. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. One thing I love to do is my crayons. I like it when my crayons don't have paper on them. Some of my crayons in my box, the wrappers weren't on very tight and they just fell off really easily. So when that happens, or if I have broken crayons, I like the broken ones. They make it a lot easier to create crayon rubbings. I'm trying to get one of my broken ones out of the box. I never throw away a piece of crayon. Here's the blue, and it's broken. So I could use that, I could use this, and maybe I'll use a little bit of both. What I do is I lay the crayon down, get back here, and I put it on the paper, I pinch it with lobster claws, and then I just rub it over the space, and that helps to fill in everything quickly and give a nice base color for my whole space. I can do that over my whole chameleon. And this chameleon, if it's supposed to be in the jungle, I want it to have a lot of green. That's going to help the chameleon camouflage. So I'm just going to take this green and fill in all the space. But whatever you do, you don't want to stop there. You've got to keep going. You got to keep adding more details, because right now it just looks like you can see through the lines to the paper. You can't see any contrast between the paper and the objects in the picture. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to add some color in some of the spaces, and then I don't have to do them all the same again. I want to go and switch colors, and this is going to help, in my opinion, look more realistic. I want you to experiment. I want you to try exploring mixing your colors together. Most of us have our crayons at home, or we've brought them home from school, and they always work, even if they break. And mix them together. Create your own new colors. You don't have to have one of those big, huge boxes with all those hundreds of colors inside. You just need a few colors that you can use and mix them together. I'm going to come in right over where I rubbed and add some other. I'm going to add this yellow, and then it changes, the color changes, and we get a little green and yellow in the stripes that I'm making. All right. And if you put something in the wrong space, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. So I'm going to keep going, and I hope you keep going. And remember, I want you to experiment with your colors. And experimenting with your colors and going in and using colors over the top of each other will help you really create some wonderful finished artwork. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to sitting with you again. Take care.